Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Cup of Joe show. I'm Joe. That's Jeremy. This is how we do it. All right. I'm tempted to hit stop and restart this show over again, so I don't do that. But you know what? That's not what we do. We just do it. We just do it. We don't edit. We don't do anything. What you see is what you get. So let's talk. Let's talk movies. We haven't seen much of late. So I did see a movie that came out in January, which may not be entertaining at all. That's not never. It's never a way you want to start a conversation. Want me to talk about a movie I saw in January? No, not really. But you know what? We're gonna do it. I recently, I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but I used Redbox. Have you guys heard of Redbox?
Did you ever watch 50 Shades?
Oh, I did watch 50 Shades. I could talk about that too. Oh, this is great. All right. So I used the Wedding Ringer. All right, The Wedding Ringer, starring Kevin Hart, Josh Gad, and Kaylee Cuoco Sweeting. This, I guess, just very briefly, the good parts of this movie. Surprisingly, this movie was actually decently funny, but that may just be because I like Kevin Hart. So I just have a feeling like if you like Kevin Hart, you'll like this movie. I actually thought that him and Josh Gad had pretty decent chemistry, and they provided actually a few good laughs. So I wouldn't totally throw this movie in the garbage, like you may when seeing like a trailer for it. So it does have funny parts, although there are times where it just completely misses when you know it's supposed to be like the funniest, like they're going for hilarious, and it just misses, and it's just like, oh god, this is bad. If they just stuck to like doing Kevin Hart humor rather than, oh, a dog bit my groin area, and they just kept that joke going for like a solid 10 minutes, and like it wasn't funny to begin with, that would just hurt. I don't know, but like there are just certain parts like that kind of just take you out of the movie, and it's just like, well, this just isn't. It's not funny. It's not funny. It's just disgusting. And maybe that's just my sense of humor. But again, Kevin Hart is pretty funny in this movie. He carries the movie. And he honestly actually shows some heart as well. No pun intended. He shows actually like a little bit of range here, to the point where I'd like to see him like actually play a role, not just be Kevin Hart. Give him a shot at a role. But I don't know if it'll work out, but I think he showed a little bit of the range to be able to actually do so. So like, Kevin Hart, get in a real movie, like not a Kevin Hart movie, like just take a role, take like a supporting role in a movie, do something, because I think you really have the talent to be able to branch out, because you clearly carried this movie. I don't know, Josh Gad. I mean, Josh Gad's talented, but Josh Gad plays Josh Gad. He doesn't really, show you much. The first scene is he sits down and he breaks through a glass table because he's fat. I mean, that's not funny. Kaylee Cuoco plays Kaylee Cuoco. I'm convinced, as beautiful as she is, I don't think she really has much range. Sorry, Kaylee. I still have a crush on you, but I'm sorry, you just don't have the acting range, in my opinion. Otherwise, you'd be able to branch out more than The Big Bang Theory and supporting roles in Kevin Hart comedies. Anyway, wow, I just bashed Kaylee. Sorry. So basically, it's funny movie, but don't run out and get it. If you like Kevin Hart, I'd say get it. If you don't, this movie's just gonna fall flat for you. Jeez, should I talk 50 Shades of Grey?
I don't know. It's up
What
to you.
do you
I think we have time.
I guess we do have time. All right. So I watched 50 Shades of Grey. Man. All right, positives. Well shot. Well shot. Decently acted for its purpose. That's it. I mean, this. I watched this movie for it to be an unintentional comedy. I thought this movie was going to be hilarious, and it does have its funny moments. But it literally accomplishes nothing. It's not an a hilarious unintentional comedy. It's not. It's definitely not a good movie, and it's not a porn. So it's like, you know, if I guess that's how I judge this movie. I mean, when you have, I mean, you know this movie's going to be bad. I mean, I didn't read the books, but I hear the books are bad. I mean, the author wrote them based on a Twilight fan fiction, and she wrote a lot of it on her BlackBerry. Please do yourself a favor, watch the Honest trailer for 50 Shades of Grey. It's hilarious, and it's going to explain everything way better than I do right now. It's just, oh my god, it's just a bad movie. It's like, there are just like parts where, like, you know, people would only say the lines if, like, they knew they were in a 50 Shades of Grey movie. Alright, I have to R-rate this for a moment, and I'll put, like, 50 Shades of Grey, then you'll know. I mean, the guy, I mean, look, Christian Grey, I was going to say hashtag Edward Cullen, what? Also known as, Edward Cullen, literally says a line at the end of the movie, and it's just like, he says, "I'm 50 shades of fucked up." Now, you would only say that line if you knew you were in the book 50 Shades of Grey. That doesn't make sense. I'm sorry, like, if you market yourself as a movie, I'm going to judge you as a movie, and that line is just stupid. It's, like, you have Bella Swan, Anastasia Steele is her name. Like, that's a porn star. I'm sorry. She's Bella Swan, and it's obvious because in the first minute of the movie, she opens a door and just falls over nothing. She's clumsy, just like Bella Swan, and they just shove it in your face, and it's just like, it's awful. And like, you're watching this movie, and you're just like, oh my god, it's Twilight reincarnated. Twilight was dead, and they brought it back, and there's going to be at least 2 more of these things, unless they split the last book into 2 parts. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. It's just heavy-handed Twilight. You have a Jacob character who's just like, oh my god, and it's just like, I don't understand. I really don't get it. And like, she just meets him for like the first time, and he's just like, I want you to be my bondage slave. Like, they meet for like 3 minutes. It doesn't make sense. And he like stalks her. And the thing is, like, he doesn't want a relationship, but in order to sway her, he starts doing relationship things with her. They go on dates. He takes her on a plane, which is actually a very well shot scene. I'm not gonna lie. But like, he takes her on a plane, they go on dates, they go out to dinner, but then Christian's just like, I'm not actually into that stuff, when he's clearly having a good time when they're on the dates. And she's like, having a great time, that's what she wants. She wants that relationship. But Christian wants her to just be a bondage slave. And it's just like, the relationship makes no sense. It's like a constant battle, like, and they like shoot each other emails, like battling back and forth, and it's just like, he's like, have you made a decision yet? They actually like make a contract. He gives her like this long contract of like things she can and cannot do, like, you will eat regularly to maintain your health, and you will not have a lot of alcohol. Like, in the beginning of the movie, like, it literally, like, she like drunk calls him and it's just like, hey, Christian, and he's like, are you drinking? Put that drink down. Where are you? I'm coming. And like they just met each other for 3 minutes. I like it doesn't. Why is he like ordering her to do things? Like, oh, this movie is so bad with its funny moments. And just to quickly get into the I guess the bondage, it's very soft. It's softcore porn, and considering that was the gimmick, it should have been heavier. I think the movie actually would have benefited, just getting into that gimmick, because it was just awful. It should have been NC-17. Granted, it wouldn't have made the money. Maybe it would have. I don't know, but I guess it probably wouldn't have made as much money as it did. But it is quote unquote risque for R. But like, it's not. If you're going to make this movie, which is what a lot of people said, you have to go all the way. You have to make it, you have to live out the gimmick, and they didn't do that. I mean, talking about bondage, and like literally the movie ends, and Anastasia Steele, I can't get over that name, says, show me how bad it could get, and she's like crying, and he brings her into the playroom. It's literally called the playroom, people, and it's really funny when she's like, oh, is that where your Xbox is and stuff? Like, because that's what would be in a playroom. It'd be child's playroom. Anyway, calls it the playroom, and brings her in, and he grabs a belt, and he's like, I'm gonna hit you 6 times. Like, that's how bad it could get? I'm sorry. She Googles bondage earlier in the movie, and the pictures are, like, much worse than that comes. He hits her. She's like, why did you do that? I'm like, you told him to do that. And then the end's a cliffhanger. This movie's terrible. It's garbage. As much as I actually enjoyed talking about it, it's garbage. Don't see this movie. Don't support this movie. It's not going to matter anyway, actually, because there's going to be 2 more of these things no matter what. Jeremy, the box office?
Okay.
Since I spent the whole 12 minutes talking, and you're just sitting there. Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know, I guess it's partially my fault for not seeing any movies.
I guess.
Well, anyway, last weekend was Memorial Day weekend, and that's usually one of the biggest weekends of the year. With the holiday and everything, it used to be the start of, like, the summer movie season, but then that got pushed back to, like, early May. But, regardless, it's usually still a really good weekend. That was not the case this year, as it was historically awful. It was the worst Memorial Day weekend in 20 years. And we'll get into that a bit more later. So anyway, our number 5 film was Avengers Age of Ultron. That was down 44% to $21.7 million, and has a total of 404.8. It's continuing to cruise along. Its drops are roughly expected. They're not good. They're not, out of the ordinary bad or anything. And again, the movie has made over $400 million. That's a lot of money. Not too many movies have done that. And, it's still got some juice left, so I'm thinking it could probably get to 450. In 4th place, we had Poltergeist, and that opens to $22.6 million. That's actually pretty solid. Horror movies tend to debut more in the, low to mid-teens or so. So, yeah, that's not bad for Poltergeist, and, I remember watching the original Poltergeist as a child and being pretty freaked out. This one's probably terrible and not scary, but who knows? Exactly. 3rd place was Mad Max Fury Road. That was down 46% to $24.6 million, giving it a total of $88.1 million. That's not too bad for Mad Max. And, I continue to be pretty happy for this movie, considering I still think it was a really hard sell. It's an R movie and everything, so, I think Mad Max is doing great for itself. It strikes me as the kind of movie that would do well overseas. I haven't actually looked at the international numbers too much, but I would think it would do well.
I think it is doing well.
Okay,
I
that's
looked it
good.
up. I think it is doing really
That's
well.
good.
So
So, has a production budget of 150. So if it makes, maybe 130, 140-ish stateside, and then should get over 200 overseas, yeah, Mad Max will be just fine. Number 2, Pitch Perfect 2. That fell 56% to 30.8 million, total of 118.3. And, that's already more than I thought this would make in its entire run. So, Pitch Perfect 2 is doing really, really, really well for itself.
juggernaut.
And I'm happy for Anna Kendrick and not so much Rebel Wilson. Because this means that we will probably see more of her. On that note, our number 1 movie was Tomorrowland, and that opened to 33 million. And that is really, 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 really weak for the number 1 movie of Memorial Day weekend. First time in 20 years. 1995. 1995 was 20 years ago. That's messed up.
that is messed up.
That a movie didn't make at least 40 million. Just as an example, last year we had X-Men Days of Future Past, and that opened to 90, which is 3 times what Tomorrowland did. So, I think it's just, Tomorrowland, just didn't connect. It's just, the marketing was kind of weird. It was hard to tell, what the movie was actually about, what vibe they were going for. The reviews weren't that great, and there was just nothing else to go see. And I kind of feel like San Andreas, which comes out this weekend, would have been better served coming out over Memorial Day weekend, because they probably pushed it back a week because they were worried about competition on Memorial Day weekend. But hindsight is 20/20. You couldn't have known that Tomorrowland was going to disappoint this much, but I think San Andreas probably could have done at least 45-50 over Memorial Day weekend, probably, because it seems to be heading for about 45 this weekend. But it happens, so that's the box office.
Yeah, Tomorrowland was really shocking to me, but listening to people, actually, the reviews from people that I respect have heard, have actually said it's a pretty good movie. Although, you're right, Rotten Tomatoes kind of gives it a middle of the road rating. The problem, you're right, was definitely the marketing. For me, I was actually intrigued by the premise of what is Tomorrowland, and that's clearly what they were going on. But the problem is, I believe 60% of the audience that saw that movie were adults. So they completely missed the kid audience that they needed to go for.
Yeah.
This is a kids movie. I'm sure it's a movie that adults can enjoy as well. But
it's a family movie.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So, and it's based off a ride, or no, not a ride, a area in Disney World or something like that. Yeah. I thought it looked intriguing. I thought it looked good, but you're right. It's just it missed. The marketing just missed its audience, and to provide a very weak Memorial Day weekend.
I'll say.
Let's just quickly talk about one of the movies that's coming out, is San Andreas. Don't be 2012. Don't be 2012. But I have the confidence that with The Rock and Paul Giamatti at least being in this movie, it's going to be at least serviceable. I love The Rock. If you guys want to see him officiate a wedding, go to Screen Junkies on YouTube. See him marry Nick Mundy. Well, not marry Nick Mundy, but marry Nick Mundy to his fiance. He's a really cool guy, and I support everything he does. So I really hope this is good.
Yeah, I agree. The Rock's a good guy, very charismatic, and I think he can carry a movie. San Andreas doesn't look like anything, particularly, Oscar worthy, but it could be a very, just fun, dumb movie, and will probably open around 40 million.
I got you. Yeah, I mean, helped resurrect the Fast franchise. I mean, that second G.I. Joe was only entertaining because he was in it. So, I mean, charismatic. Let's hope it's good. We'll see you guys next week.